Hello. Today's episode is a conversation with Zach Day, who is a singer-songwriter, guitarist, country musician based in Austin, Texas. Zach and I met about a year ago at the WTF open mic that was held here at WTF Ice House in Austin. And in this episode, we have a good conversation about his history as a singer-songwriter, living in Mississippi, living in Texas, moving around, his thoughts on songwriting, how it relates to his musical practice, and then other issues surrounding musicians working in the world today, about how musicians get paid, how they get gigs, all sorts of interesting things like that. But before we get to that, just a quick reminder that I, as a musician and podcaster, operate on a value for value model, which means that whatever value you derive from my content, whether that be podcasts or songs streamed on Spotify or even live concerts, I ask that you reciprocate by responding in kind by providing value back to me. There's easy ways to do that. You can like my content. You can leave comments, which I love, and I like to interact with everybody. You can subscribe to my channels. Those are easy ways. You can also donate money. I have a Bitcoin QR. I like Bitcoin. I have a Venmo QR. And if you really like my content, you can subscribe on a monthly basis on my patreon.com, where there's various tiers where you get things like you can submit topics or questions for me to talk about on the show. You can get access to full concert footage. You can get bonus content of all sorts, like backstage content from episodes of the podcast and things like that. Welcome to Music in Mind, with Anthony Calkins. All right, well, hello, everybody listening. It's not live, but anyway. I'm here with Zach Day, who is a country singer-songwriter, guitar player in Austin, originally from Mississippi. Zach and I met, I don't know, like a year ago, something like that.
About a year ago.
About a year ago, because Zach used to host the open mic at WTF Ice House, which was... Actually, I think it was my favorite open mic in the city, actually. So it recently closed down, which is a bummer, but that's where we met. So how have things been since the close of the
let me just
open
say,
mic?
I mean, through that open mic, I've met every person that I've had like as a band member, which is probably,
really?
It's probably been like over 20 after subbing in and doing different stuff. So it was really good for me to have that.
Yeah.
And, moving here, and then I moved here not that long after I got here. They offered me that gig, and so I was able to meet all kinds of other musicians like yourself and others, and made a lot of friends through that. And anyhow, I'm getting ready to leave for the next couple months, and they just decided to just shut it down.
See. Are you going on tour?
Yeah, I'm leaving the first week of November, and I'm doing I'm stopping in Baton Rouge and playing, and then Gulf Shores, Alabama and playing,
Cool.
And then I have 2 weeks in Florida doing some shows over there.
Nice. Where are you playing in Florida?
Around Ocala, Florida, and then around Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
So kind of like all the little suburbs in those areas.
So actually, it's a thought that I've had recently about touring and avoiding the huge cities.
Yeah.
And doing sort of the small cities. Do you feel like that works pretty well?
Always. I mean, I never do the big cities.
Right.
Because
Baton Rouge is a little bit big, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's like 200,000 or
I guess it
300,000 or
is.
something.
Yes, it's probably a couple 100,000, 300,000. But I have a bunch of friends and family that live there.
Okay.
And so I have a place to stay. So that's
perfect.
That's a big
That
plus.
helps, yeah.
Yeah. But it's not a big town like, it doesn't come anywhere close to Austin.
Right.
It's just, there's probably 200,000 or 300,000 people there, but it's spread out. I doubt there's more than 200,000.
Uh-huh.
I thought New Orleans was huge. It's only like 500,000 or 600,000.
Yeah, it's big, but it's not that big.
Yeah, I thought it was like at least 1 million or something.
It's crazy when you start to think about the size of cities, because like in Wisconsin, Madison feels like a small big city, and it's like almost 300,000.
Really?
And then Milwaukee feels huge, and it's like 600,000. So it's big. It's like New Orleans is big, but it's not that big.
Yeah, because Austin...
It's like almost a million.
Downtown is not that big. Like New Orleans, you cannot see all of it.
Right.
But you can see all of Austin from one spot.
But Austin doesn't feel that big.
Right.
But it's way bigger than New Orleans.
Way bigger.
It's crazy.
About like 4 times probably, 3 or 4 times bigger. But those small towns, man, those people... those venues, even here in Austin, like I mostly play outside of town.
Right.
I mean, all these breweries and distilleries and little restaurants and stuff, they pay better.
Yep.
And they feed you good.
Yeah.
They give you free alcohol, and the people that are there usually tip and buy merchandise. So
Yeah. I mean, some of those downtown gigs are ridiculous.
yeah, WTF's really the only one I do.
WTF's nice. I like WTF. I like the people there. I like the venue. There's a bunch of 6th Street venues that they pay so little.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
I
And
know.
then they expect so much, like no breaks and stuff like that.
And like a 3 or 4 hour gig.
And then it's like, well, you're not even paying me properly to put in that kind of effort. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, WTF, at least, even if the crowd is not good, they're going to give you, usually about $100 a person.
right.
Something like that. But, like Rustic Tap, I think they offer you $300 and you bring as many people as you want to play with you.
Yep.
And then you just hope you make it up on tips.
Right, exactly. And that's not even the worst.
Yeah, no, there's worse.
It goes down from there.
At least they have a good sound system and a good stage and usually a good crowd. But what's that other place that's right between Rustic Tap and WTF?
Is this a Key something?
No, I can't think of it. But I got booked to play there one time. It's a little outdoor, tiny stage. Like, it's tiny.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we got a sound system. It was one of those deals they wanted $300 for 3 hours for a full band. So we show up. We couldn't even fit all. We had like half of us were on the floor and the other half were on the stage.
Wow.
Which the
How
stage
big
is
of a
only about
band do you
this tall.
bring? Like when you bring full band, what is
Usually
it?
4.
Okay.
Me, a lead guitar player, bass player, and a drummer.
Okay.
And so, anyhow, we set up on that stage, or half of us did, and then they bring out their sound system, and it was the junkiest. It was terrible.
Oh no.
The most terrible sound system, and there's only one plug-in for the whole stage. So we wasted like the first 30 minutes of our show trying to get them to help us get their sound system working.
Oh my gosh.
And anyway, and kind of the same person books a lot of these places, and that person is a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that a musician that's like well known in town and books a lot of venues would try to get other musicians more money, but they don't do that. So I don't, and unfortunately that person books a lot of venues around here.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah.
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 Anyhow, I love that person and I'm grateful for the stuff they've given me, but I wish they'd try to get more money for bands.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, like the value of music and the value of live music. I think about this all the time because there's the whole recording industry now, which is all streaming. And so recorded music basically has no value.
Yeah.
Because it's just like what you could just get it.
Yeah, anybody can do it too.
Anybody can do it, and there's really no barrier to entry, and it's just like you can get any song in the entire world at any moment on your phone.
Yeah.
So there's no value to it at all. So then it's this weird thing with live music where the recorded industry, I think, has changed the expectation of what live music is. And so live music has also, like, it hasn't grown in value along with everything else. It's like the whole thing about how bands are paid the same now that they were in like 1975.
Really? I don't doubt it.
Like $70 a person for 3 hours is like the same that
been the same way.
Yeah, since the 70s.
There's just more people getting a cut of that.
Right.
Probably. Like all these other StubHub or whatever, all these
my gosh. Right. Well, once you're at that level, once you're talking about like bigger concerts that have that, there's so many cuts going every which way. Yeah,
and it's like they sell it as a $45 ticket, and you start checking out, and then you get about 4 different fees that add up to about $100 total.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, well, who's getting all that? I mean, it's not the band.
Right.
I'll never forget, I went to, right after we moved here, the Long Center was having some kind of like big vintage sale thing. Mm-hmm. And so my girlfriend and I, or my fiance now and I went in there.
Congratulations. That was a couple months ago, right? I think I saw it on Instagram.
It was recent, yeah.
Yeah.
I think 2 months ago. And she was my girlfriend at the time. Now she's my ex-girlfriend. Anyway, we went in there and this guy had this huge collection of vinyls.
Cool.
thousands of them. And so I go through, because I got this this record player that my grandmother gave me, and I pick out a handful and I go up to check out, and I hand him the first one as a Stevie Ray Vaughan album.
Yeah.
And he's like, "That's $100." I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna put that one back." And I had the next one was like the Eagles or something.
Yeah.
And he was like, "That one's probably 85." And I was like, "Man, these are crazy numbers. I can't buy any of this." He was like, "What would you rather do? Get on Spotify and the artist only gets a few cents for every stream or download?" And I was like, how much of this?
Get? Yeah, right.
I was like, how much is Stevie Ray Vaughan going to get out of this $100 album that you're trying to sell?
That's a good question.
And he didn't really say anything. And there was like a long line, and he just kind of went, he was just a salesman.
Yeah.
So I took all that shit back, and I was like, whatever, but.
But being a salesman, do you consider yourself a salesman at all with music?
I think I'd be naive if I said I wasn't. I have to be to some degree.
Right.
During a show, like, I have to mention, hey, I have merch. This is what it is. This is how much I'm charging.
Yeah.
Please come get some, or like, hey, I released a new single. Go online and check it out.
Yeah.
Or follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, all that stuff.
So at least in that sense, I'm a salesperson. And definitely when I'm trying to book shows, I have to be a salesperson.
Right.
But I actually had a job as a salesperson once with a case tractor equipment company.
Cool.
And
Where was that?
hated every second of it. I felt so just dirty, like just a grease ball. Like, I'm trying to convince these people to buy something.
Yeah.
And I have I really don't care if you buy it or not, other than the fact that this is how I'm making money.
Well, see, but that's the problem, is if you don't care.
Yeah.
But like with your music, I've noticed it with both music and teaching, about how if I value what I'm doing more, actually the audience values it more too. And it's like this thing about it. So if it's a show where you're charging a cover or something like that, I found that charging a little bit more actually brings more people in, and they stay longer.
Yeah.
They're more interested, because it's like they've invested in the experience, and then it's on you to give them as good of an experience as you can. And I feel like there's a lot of new bands want to charge, they do free shows or like $5, something that's almost no money.
Yeah.
And I feel like what they're signaling that they're not even valuing what they're doing themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And it's rough with art to put a number, like a monetary value, because you want it to be just like it's your passion and your creativeness, whatever your creativity level is, and you want to share that. But if you're not getting paid a certain amount, that value also, it reflects what you've put into it and what you think you're worth.
I mean, but that's the thing, is like those gigs that pay so little, that's part of why it sucks.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying hard to like do something, and you're doing your best, and people are like, I don't care.
It sucks on multiple levels to not get paid.
So like with my band, Sap and Claw Elixir, we've been doing with our merch a value for value model. So we don't have an amount that we charge for anything.
Really?
The idea is just whatever you feel like it's valuable to you. So we have like stickers and koozies and stuff. And so like whatever you think having a sticker of us is worth to you, that's what we want you to pay.
Whoa.
And it actually works way
Putting the weight
better
on the consumer.
It works better. They give us more money.
Yeah, I bet.
Sometimes they don't. And that's like, it's okay, because
it probably
actually
pays off in the end.
Yeah. And we want people to feel good about it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, because it's hard to know what is a sticker worth anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what do you charge for a sticker? $1, $2?
I charge.
Who knows?
Well, yeah, it just depends on what I paid for it, I guess.
Right.
At least try to make my money back or a little bit more. Other than, not with stickers, but with like hats and t-shirts and like koozies and stuff like that. So my mom, luckily for me, my mom works for a company that they do that. So
cool.
That's I get handy. Wholesale on the materials, and then I just have to pay for the print.
Right.
So I can sell it cheaper than most people can.
Sure.
Like I sell hats and t-shirts like $20.
Yeah.
Whereas, and it's good, hats and good T-shirts. Whereas like you go to like I mean, I guess this isn't a great example, but if you go to like a real show, like a Tedeschi Trucks band or something, they're getting like $45.
Oh yeah.
But why not? Some people are going to buy the shit out of it anyway. So
right.
they jack their prices way up. They're probably, and then they probably have to split that. Again, they have to split it a bunch of ways.
I mean, I bet they're making money, but they're definitely paying out a lot of money.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
This dude I know that he has a shop out in Driftwood. Have you been to Ghost Note Brewery? Right behind it, there's a shop, and this guy has created this niche business where he prints on guitars for
cool.
Like George Strait uses him, and like Miranda Lambert. I mean, he's got like 100 different big time artists that call on him to do it. So he orders shipments of like cheap guitars because nobody really wants to print on a good guitar.
Right.
And then the price point of selling a good guitar with the print is too high. They can't sell it.
Right.
So he gets like these $100, $200 like Epiphone or Fender guitars. They send the artwork to him. He makes it work, and then they print it. And then he told me George Strait was selling $100,000 worth of those guitars every night.
Whoa.
Yeah. And they sell for like maybe $300 or $400.
George Strait sells guitars?
Yeah, at his shows.
What?
And they're like the shittiest Fender acoustic guitars with some kind of artwork.
You'd think
printed.
that like buying a guitar to show would become a burden. Like you'd think you have to carry it around and stuff.
I don't know.
I don't think
Maybe
I would
they buy
buy
it on the way out.
Show.
I don't know, but
just like, what do I do?
But
with
he was
this?
like, I have 18-wheeler loads of these trucks coming in.
That's crazy.
And 18-wheeler loads of them going out, and I ship them to the arenas where he's playing. And they won't have anything left over. They're all sold in that same night.
That's wild.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Nice. So do you sell guitars too?
I do not sell guitars. I thought about doing like a one-off thing, like to promote something and maybe give it away or something like that, but I haven't done it yet.
So are you touring by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you just solo shows all around the country.
Shows, yeah.
Okay. Do you like that as a process?
I love it.
You show up, play the show.
Yeah. And it's weird that, playing with a band is the most fun thing when you're on stage.
Yes.
Off stage is not always the most fun thing because it doesn't. You got to keep up with 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
And make sure they're where they're supposed to be. They're not doing something they're not supposed to be, and all that.
Yeah.
You already know about all that. But traveling by yourself, it's pretty easy responsibility.
Yeah. Yes.
And for whatever reason, when I play by myself, my tips are like 10 times what I get playing with the band.
Really?
I don't know what it is.
That's
like,
crazy.
I feel like it's like a sympathy
you just create
thing.
the magic. No.
Like
they're like, oh, poor guy.
This poor guy's up here all by himself, sweating. Like, let's give him some money. Like, honey, give him some money. Do
you ham up you break a string? You're like, oh, this is not going well, guys. Sorry. You apologize a lot.
If I feel like there's some kind of sympathy thing going across the crowd, I'll play on it for sure.
That's pretty funny.
For purposes of tips.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I just did a 6-week trip to Colorado.
Right.
All solo stuff. And I figured out after I got back that my average on tips per show and tips and merch sales was like $150 over what they were paying.
Wow. That's good, man.
A lot.
That's really,
that's like a whole other
just
show.
For you.
Yeah, and I don't have to split it.
Exactly.
Other than my gas tank, that's it.
Yeah.
So, as much as I want to tour with my band, financially, I can't.
You're not there.
Yeah, I can't figure out how to do it where it's financially
crazy.
Viable.
Well, I think about it with comedians a lot because a lot of comedians I follow talk about when they need to make money, they go on the road. And it's like such a strange idea for me because the idea of going on the road is like me losing money.
Right. You would think so.
I mean, I guess there's enough of a market that makes sense, but
yeah, and the other plus is I have a van I can sleep in by myself.
Oh, nice.
If the weather's if it's hot, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
But if it's cool to cold, it's doable.
Yep.
And so I don't have to have any expense on finding a place to stay in.
Yep.
And a lot of times I'll pick places to tour where I know somebody or some people that I can crash with.
Right, right.
At least park at their house or something like that. The last one I did to Colorado, my fiance now went with me, and we ended up renting a place. And since we were there in August, it's like their slow season, so it was cheaper, and we got a discount.
Cool.
But typically I'd go by myself, and I just stay in my van or crash with people.
Right.
Like this Florida trip, I have somewhere to stay every night of the whole trip.
Wonderful.
So I don't have any expense as far as that goes.
Right.
I just have driving and food is my only expense.
Right.
So, and I find every time I do these trips like this, I meet random people that turns it into something cool later on down the road, or, you know, something positive comes out of it that I wouldn't get just playing around here.
Sure, sure.
You know, so, and it's fun to just go see somewhere new and meet new people.
No, I love that aspect of it. Yeah. The solo thing is interesting because there's sort of a loneliness to it. There can be. You just show up at some venue and you don't know anybody. You're like, oh, I'm here to play. All
you know that song, the Bob Seger song, Turn the Page?
Yeah, right.
It is as true as it gets when you're touring by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you walk in and you look different and you're carrying guitars or whatever, and everybody's looking at you, and it's a weird feeling, but it goes away usually as soon as I start playing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to book stuff yourself. And I used to try to book these tours where I was like moving, and so that's really difficult.
Were you
like
moving?
You know, like to say like this week I'm gonna be between here and there. Next week I'm gonna be between here and there. Like let's say if I was gonna book a tour from here to Denver.
Right.
And I wanted to split up every week where I was moving.
Yeah.
Every week or every day even.
Yeah.
It's really really hard
to get something locked down in each spot you need to be at.
Because then you're sending out a small window of dates, and you kind of want it to all be flowing in the same direction. You don't want to be backtracking or going way off to the side.
Yep.
So I've quit kind of doing that.
Interesting.
And I'm more or less, I pick like a home base kind of area.
And then do a radius.
And then just a radius, and I'll Google like every town that's around there, every live music venue or brewery, distillery, and just blast out emails and Instagram messages and just see what comes back.
Yep.
It's a lot easier that way.
Yeah.
And even like with this one, when I'm moving, like on my way to Florida, I still kind of do the same thing because I have like 2 or 3 days in Baton Rouge, 2 or 3 days in Gulf Shores, and I just blast everywhere in that area. Right. Here's my range, and I hope that I have to turn stuff down because that many respond.
Yes.
But the fact is that it doesn't usually happen that way.
It's crickets.
I'm just barely getting enough like to fill it in.
Yeah.
Compared to how many emails I send out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, same, dude. It's just like so many emails and just like no response. No response. No matter how many times you send it. So if you look up a venue and they say something like no unsolicited requests for booking or like don't email us twice, do you respect that or do you just email anyway?
I hardly even read what they say.
Nice.
I go straight to the email.
I didn't see it.
I send it. If I happen to see something like if you're trying to book music, use this address and not this one.
Yeah.
I'll send it to both of them. I'll hit up their email, however many email addresses they have, their Instagram page, and their Facebook page.
Nice.
And I'm like,
is it a different email to each one, or is it the same copy paste?
Same thing, copy and paste.
It'd be impressive if it was a different email.
Yeah, 4 of them responded to the same venue.
Yeah.
Now I've gotten multiple responses from a similar venue, and they usually channel me to just one of them.
Yeah.
And but no, usually it's crickets or
Yeah, of course.
Just enough to put it together. Like I'm still putting together my November trip.
Right.
I mean, I have most of it. I have enough book that it's worth doing for sure. But there's gaps I'd like to fill.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like there's this weird luck to it because especially venues around Austin and areas with just tons and tons of bands is they just get so many emails. There's no way they read them all. So it's like, does yours happen to be like right where their eye opens the email? Like, did you send it at just the right time? That when they open the email, they're like, "Oh, 1, 2, 3. I'll respond to these." People.
There's so many factors involved, really, because whoever's doing the booking may just not like the way you sound.
Well, of course, yeah.
And somebody else there might love it.
Yeah,
who know? And it just so happens that my top songs that are on Spotify or whatever happen to all be either about weed or cocaine or something along those lines,
right? Or a mountain.
So these places are like, I don't think you're going to be a good fit. This is a family oriented place.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I thought about that.
Like I'm trying to figure out how to make it not look that way because
you just need more songs.
I need more songs on there that are not related to drugs.
Well, so speaking about that, you have 2 or 3 that you released this year.
2. Two songs, yeah.
2, because you got Damn Cocaine and The Shadow of the Mountain.
Right,
nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Damn Cocaine was a song written about...
It's like, damn, cocaine. It's not kids
about
do
promoting cocaine. It's the opposite.
The kids don't do cocaine.
Yeah, but if you just listen to it with no context, it's it sounds like somebody that's addicted to cocaine.
Right. But you have another cocaine song, right?
Probably, but... I have other songs that mention it probably, but
I feel like there's another one. I don't know if it's your song or not. I think it is your song.
Oh,
I've definitely heard
Cocaine Country Dancing?
Yeah.
No, that's not
your song. Or you just sing another song about cocaine.
Yeah. So
you should have a few more and be like, I swear, I'm not obsessed with cocaine.
I'm very hypocritical on my cocaine songs. One promotes, one puts it down. Like I'm playing in Florida. The whole reason I booked this trip to Florida is this.
It's all the cocaine there.
All the cocaine there. They got the best powder in the country.
Right. But I'm not promoting it.
No, not at all. But if anybody needs some, I'll bring it back. This. I have some cousins that live there, and so they got me booked to do this event. This like a fundraiser and awareness thing for Alzheimer's. And so anyway, they called me yesterday, or one of the guys that's running the thing. He's like, man, I'm so excited you're coming. I'm glad you're going to be able to make this happen. And I'm not, we just wanted to talk with you a little bit about your song selection.
Oh, no.
And I already knew what he was going to say. He was like, I listen to you. I love your stuff. I've been listening to it with my kids and I've been listening to it. They're like teenagers. And I just don't know about singing the cocaine or the whiskey stuff. And I just start laughing. I'm like, I already know what you're looking at. I know exactly what you're talking about. I was like, look, I play all kinds of stuff. I don't only play those songs. So anyway, I'm sure there's some level of...
Are they your biggest hits?
Apparently on Spotify they are.
Right.
Yeah, one called Damn Cocaine and the other one's called Whiskey, Women, and Weed. They're the top 2.
Nice.
So, yeah. And then I have music videos, or a music video for Whiskey, Women, and Weed. That's the top video I have. So, it appears that way.
Nice.
But I was like, look, I play like once or twice, once a month or every other month at like a nursing home. I was like, I promise you, I can play for any kind of family oriented.
Do they like cocaine at the nursing home?
They hadn't really mentioned that, but
they might.
What I did hear is that they really like. There's a higher level of STDs in nursing homes than anywhere else.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So, yeah, who knows what they're using to make that happen?
It sounds good, man. I bet they love it. You got to let out the degeneracy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe whiskey, weed, and cocaine don't help with performance for some old dudes, but something in there is getting them going.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, so the singles, Damn Cocaine and The Shadow of the Mountain, you put out this year. Did you record those in Austin?
I did Damn Cocaine. I did Andy Tinberg, who's
cool.
the bass player.
Yeah.
He's a
He's
lead
an
guitar
everything
player.
player.
Yeah, I thought he was just a bass player.
Plays keys.
He can do
I just saw him
anything.
playing organ on Instagram
Yeah,
the other
and
day.
he's a lead guitar player and like vocalist for Tomar and the FCs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like a well-known. I mean, they played twice at Bonnaroo this year, so they're like
Wow.
a well-known band.
He's got such a good ear too.
Yeah, he's
You can
just
hear
a
everything.
professional musician, like
Yeah.
as professional as it gets, I guess. But he has a home studio, and he's got a little building outside of his house, and he's got a really cool home studio. And so, Trevor O'Connor and Trafton, who's my drummer, and Andrew Molesky, who's my bass player, they're all, rotate in and out with him in different bands and stuff.
Right.
And so they recommended that I talk to him about recording over there, and so we did Damn Cocaine in his studio.
Cool.
But the other song, Shadow of the Mountain, I wrote it while we were in Colorado.
Oh, so it's like a new song.
Yeah, it's a brand new song. And I wasn't planning on doing anything with it. But I played at this place right outside of Snowmass, and somebody was at my show and knew the owner of the studio called Mad Dog Ranch, and which is in Snowmass. And Mad Dog Ranch was originally owned by Jimmy Buffett, and Glenn Fry lived right next door, and so they did all kinds of stuff there and recorded stuff there. And he wrote Son of a Sailor there, and I think Fins maybe. But anyhow, he ended up selling it to Glenn Fry. And then this woman bought it from him like the week that he died.
Whoa.
And so she owns it now. So anyhow, this other person that was at my show called her and said, hey, you need to come listen to this guy. He's playing at wherever. So she shows up, and I could tell she was something to do with music because of the way she was dressed. Some music people just have a look to them, Anyhow, so she sits down and she listens to like a whole set. And then she gets up and she tells me, who she is and that they had the studio and that I should come check it out. And so I called her like the next Monday, and anyhow, they invited me to come record that song or a song. And I was like, well, I got this brand new song. I just wrote it. It'll be perfect to do just an acoustic live version. So I ended up recording that the last week we were there in Snowmass.
Okay. That one sounds really good.
Yeah, it turned out really cool. And they had a really nice studio.
Cool.
And put us up in their little cabin that they had there for the night. So I was, another one of those random things that comes out of touring in places that you don't play all the time.
That's great. That's exciting.
Yeah, so I'm planning on going back there in March, and she said they were going to help me get some other shows around Aspen.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you never know what's going to happen when you leave your home turf and get out there.
Did anything come of that couple that was at WTF though one time? They wanted you to play some extra shows.
No, I reached out to them a bunch of times. But this is nothing new.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I remember when I first started playing music, and people started coming up and being like, "Man, I know this person that does this or that, and I'm gonna get you connected with them." And I'd just be hanging on what they said, for like weeks. I'm like, I still haven't heard from them, I basically dropped everything because I was like, okay, this is gonna change my whole career. It didn't take long for me to figure out that, when they say that kind of stuff, take it in, say thank you, follow up, but don't ever get your hopes up that they're actually going to do it. Right. Because maybe 5% of the time they actually go through with whatever they say.
I mean, tying up your schedule with what other people have said is usually a bad idea.
Terrible idea.
Yeah.
I did that several times. I learned the hard way on that.
It's funny. I mean, people even do it with new jobs and stuff. There's a job they really want, and so they clear everything out for the potential of having that job. And it's like, I think it's going back to valuing yourself and your time too. About if you just keep doing what you're doing, and like let them call you, and if they want you, then they want you. And so then if you're busy this week and you're like, well, I can do it next week. If they actually want to work with you, they'll work it out.
If you stop grinding, the opportunities quit coming. Yeah. So.
Dude, I even noticed it with podcasting. Like, if you're not regular about it, like 2 weeks, it just everybody stops listening.
Really?
It's crazy. It's crazy. You'd be like, oh, I'm doing all right. I got pretty good listenership. Take one off. Oh, that's not good. Two. And it's just like the whole thing.
Nobody
gone.
cares anymore.
You got to restart from square zero.
So, I don't know anything about the podcast world, but I can imagine that, I mean, it's even like when you're playing a show and you take a break,
right?
People start wandering off and leaving the bar, and you're like, fuck, we got to get back on stage. We're losing the crowd.
Yeah.
That's pretty quick. That's short term.
See, the break one's funny to me because there's some bands that are really good at taking long breaks and it works out well for them. Yeah. Like what's the band that plays at Sea Boys every Tuesday? Groove Line Horns.
Yeah.
They take long break, like half hour, 45-minute kind of a thing.
Really?
But like they have such a presence that it's like a swag thing. They're like, we're going to play when we're going to play. Yeah. And you're all sticking around.
And nobody's leaving.
No.
I've never been to that, but I've seen videos and it looks awesome.
They're so good. It's like it's one of my favorite shows, like weekly shows in town.
And what day is that?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Sometimes I would go after WTF.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because it's right down the street. It's right by my house. Yeah, exactly. It's on my way home. So it's like, oh yeah, I'll stop in. And they're just slaying every time.
Yeah, is it packed in there?
Yeah, it's packed.
That's awesome.
And they take such long breaks.
That's hard to do. It's hard to get a venue to be okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, if people are buying drinks, I feel like that's the thing is once you have leverage, this is like my goal. It's like I want leverage. I want to be like, no, don't worry about it. They're buying drinks.
Yeah. You let me tell you how it's going to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's just funny, like some of those, back to the 6th Street bars that don't want you to take breaks. And they're like, well, we're losing money when you're not playing kind of thing. It's like, well, you're not paying me anyway. Like you're barely paying me. And then they're like, well, you need to get tips. And it's like, well, that should be between me and the audience. Yeah. That should have nothing to do with you.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's not costing you anything. It's only costing me.
Right.
Yeah. Like Friends, is that? Friends is one of them. Because I've never even stepped foot in there, I don't think. But
they have my favorite jam other than WTF. They have a Sunday Night Blues jam, which is really good. Yeah. That and WTF, I think, are the two best jams in the city.
But what I've heard about that place is they'll hire you to play like 4 hours for $100 or something crazy like that.
Yeah. It's low.
Yeah, it's real low.
Yeah.
I was like, man, it'd be a better waste of my time to be at home sending emails out to book other shows.
Yeah. The thing about Friends that I've heard, I've never gotten one of these spots, but I've heard like the Friday night, I think they do 3-hour spots at night, like the 11 to 2 or the whatever it would be 7 to 10.
Yeah.
Are really good on the weekends because Friends is like the first bar on 6th Street that every tourist pops into.
Right.
And then they always have blues bands in there. And so everybody's like, oh, this is Austin. And like it kind of is. Like
it is.
And I think that Friends tends to have better bands than most of the 6th Street bars.
Yeah. Yeah, one time several years ago I went to Dirty Six and hung out. And I got the full feel of why it's called Dirty Six.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't need any more of this,
Yeah.
It's kind of like going to Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Like,
it is like Bourbon Street.
You see it one time and you get a feel for it. And you're like, eh.
So you don't play it, because you were playing Maggie Mays at one point. Mm-mm. You weren't? Mm-mm. I thought you had a Maggie Mays set.
No, I never played there.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, and I know that a lot of those places they pay less than the West Side does, which a lot of them barely pay to begin with. So, again, I'm not saying I'm too good for that or something, but my time is better spent somewhere else where I can get paid more.
Right. I mean, I don't even think it's too good. It's like everybody needs to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to set a bottom line of what you're willing to get paid for a certain amount of time and effort.
Yeah, of course.
And most of those places are below where I would like to be.
Of course. Yeah. So you tour by yourself, but you do play full band shows. Mm-hmm. So do you have a vision for what you want your act or your artistic life to be?
I have lots of them.
Nice.
I have lots of them. Whether any of them happen or not is up for
that's
grabs.
That's always true.
I mean, I'm definitely doing stuff now that I didn't think I'd be doing a while ago, but you always have these huge visions of grandeur, things happening, a year from now I'm gonna be doing this. Well, a year from now you're usually barely doing more than what you were the year before.
Yeah.
But it's still better than what you were doing, and you realize that that thing is harder than what you thought
Yes.
it was going to be.
Yep.
So, one goal I've had for a while is to get on as an opening act for somebody that's touring as a solo opener, because number one, I think it pays pretty good. Number two, you have no overhead at all.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about touring from doing it and being around another group that has experience with it.
Yeah.
But you also get in front of a big crowd that you know is going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's a great way as a singer-songwriter or somebody that can do a solo act to get out there. I just don't know how to do it.
I mean, I really like having a solo opener for a band.
Yeah.
I think it's a good vibe, and I think sometimes whether you have like 2 or 3 bands and they all sound similar, it kind of ends up becoming sort of noisy.
Yeah. Or blends together where you can't really separate them.
Yeah. I saw, what was it? I saw Chris Isaac once in Boise, Idaho at it was like a closed down prison. They turned into a music venue.
That sounds cool.
It was interesting. And I don't remember her name, but she was a solo singer-songwriter who opened up for him. And she had like the most interesting, it was like country music, but with all sorts of like added like chromatic chords and jazz chords and stuff. It was really creative and cool. And like the crowd didn't like it at all, but I loved it. Yeah. What was funny is like nothing, not even to put down Chris Isaac, but I consider his music like a little bland. And so like it was a really cool opener for that show, and it made me like the show more. Yeah. Versus like if I was just going to like somewhere to see Chris Isaac, I'd be like, all right, cool.
And just him performing.
Yeah. Because it sets a tone for like we are doing something artistic and interesting here.
Yeah. I mean, I wish that all touring bands would, and I think most of them probably do have opening, supportive act. But my guess is that most of them come through whatever label or booking agency that they work with. They want to use their own people. So, there's some barrier you got to cross to be able to get into that. And I don't know exactly how. I don't even know where the barrier is. Yeah. So it's hard to conquer that.
That's tough. Like, I mean, it's like booking sometimes. Is you're trying to book onto a festival or onto something. You have no idea who to contact. You just look at some email and you're like, it's probably not even the right person.
Info at something, which is basically a dead end email. It goes nowhere.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, those are, for you listeners, if a place gives you an info at something email, you might as well just forget. Don't even waste your time. It goes to nobody.
Yeah, they do that on purpose too. Yeah. They set it up to make sure that
we
this
gave
email
you a contact. It's available.
Oh my gosh.
It's like some answer machine and some random like
it does. They have it forward to somebody who doesn't even work there.
Yeah, it's like a janitor that doesn't even look at his computer. It's just going there.
Yeah. Yeah. But
yeah, man, there's a lot of like hidden doors in the music business that we know they exist. We know people get through them all the time. Yeah. Just don't know where to even look for it.
Yeah. And then there's fake doors. There's like tricks all over the place. Like I was talking with one of the bands I play with out here. I guess like their old lead guitar player got signed to a deal in LA. And like it's one of those things where like a lot of those feel like tricks to me. Yeah. Because he was like got an $80,000 advance, flying first class out to LA and stuff like that. And so he's like feels like he's living the high life.
He's made it.
Right. And like I've heard of things that get even crazier than that, where they like show up with a car, like a Maserati at your door, and they're like, "This is yours now."
Yeah, you own this.
Right. But then like if you read the contract, they've bought it under your name and you are going to have to pay them back for it.
With interest to both of them, probably.
Right. Probably. Yeah. It's so like what you were saying about how many shows are you going to have to play to pay off the $80,000, the plane tickets, the cars, all the like dinners, the fun treatment and all that. Like it feels like you're just balling out of control.
Yeah. You really are out of control.
Right. And then I was saying, like, how much would it suck to be playing a show and, like, feeling like you're paying off debt with your show?
Yeah. Like, oh, man, I'm going to be $2,000 less in the hole after this show, and I'll still be broke. Yeah. Like, I I've had a couple of chances to sign a publishing deal as a songwriter.
Interesting.
In Nashville, and the first time it happened, they flew me to Nashville, and I met with them, and they like took me out to like the Gibson guitar store,
That's fun.
manufacturing place, and that was really cool. You know, they were kind of whining and dining me sort of deal. And everything sounded great until I saw the contract. Yeah. And my dad's a lawyer, so we're like trying to read this contract. He's
you
like,
got a lot of handy connections.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, having a dad as a lawyer when you were
sick.
a fuck up in college was a great thing to have. But he's trying to read it, and he's like, I can't even tell you what this says. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, the language they use is so ambiguous, you can't tell what in the fuck they're trying to say. And so we went back and forth, and he knew another lawyer that did stuff with entertainment, and he was able to read it better and sort of translate it to us. But the stuff, the basic stuff that I could understand scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Because basically they have the rights to do whatever they want to with your music, which
do they own it?
Also can include doing nothing at all with it.
Right.
And you can't either. And so it was going to be a 2-year contract, but not really, because only they have the ability at the end of that 2-year contract to renew it whether you want to or not. Or they can sell your contract to another.
That's terrible
thing. So you have zero control.
And was it like a take it or leave it situation?
Yeah, I mean, we went back and forth on a couple things, and they're like, yeah, we'll do this and that. And then I can't remember, something happened. I had to go do something. So I was like, next week when I get back, once y'all send me this revised copy, I'll sign it.
Yeah.
I had like 3 or 4 days to think about it, and I was like, this isn't right.
Yep.
I'm not, they're not offering me that much more than what I'm already doing for myself. And I don't think I'm in a place that's, like I might be falling into a trap with this. And it might ruin everything. So I backed out of it. And then another time I got offered another one, and I didn't even look at the contract. I was like, no, thank you. Yeah. I already know what this is about.
Dang.
Because they want you to a minimum of 10 songs a year. Okay. Anything you write while you're under contract with them
is owned by them.
They own the rights to it. And they can do whatever they want to it or do nothing with it. Yep. And really 10 is like the minimum. They really want you to do like 200 or 300 songs. Right. Which is not what I do. Yeah. I mean, I probably have 200 songs total in my whole career of writing songs. Yep. So anyway, that wasn't for me. Yeah. Now, would I love to have somebody else record some of my shit? Fuck yeah, I would love to have that happen. Yep. Especially if it got on the radio. And I've been trying to pitch some stuff to Texas artists, which is a little more the kind of stuff I write. I don't really write Nashville type country music. And so far nobody's picked up anything, but I've had, at least expanded my
There must be like a local grassroots way to do it.
There's got to be.
I mean, this is the thing is I feel like all of these companies make it seem like the only way is through them. Yeah. But there's no way.
No, and you see other people break through without it. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how they do it, and I don't know that applies to everybody. Right. The way they did it may be a one-off kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. So what you said was interesting about the Texas Nashville style. So as a songwriter, what would you say the difference is?
Also,
is there a Mississippi style?
Well, there's no Mississippi
there's like Delta
radio.
Blues, but
there's no Mississippi doesn't have that infrastructure for whatever reason, and it's sad some of the biggest acts in music that have ever existed came from Mississippi. Yeah. But, while I was there, I was like, I can do it. I can break through and live here.
In Mississippi.
And then I started kind of researching everybody else that's gotten famous. Not a single one of them got famous living there.
Where were you living?
I was living south of Jackson in Hazelhurst, Mississippi, a little bitty town. But what was the question before that? I forgot.
The Texas versus Nashville style?
If you listen to top 40 Texas charts, there's some pretty terrible songs on there. they're not that great. But they have more.
Are there songs that anybody would know? Actually, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I don't listen to that
I'm
either. Really.
Ignorant of. You mean like pop charts, country charts?
So Texas has its own country music charts.
Because I've learned that like there's this type of music, like Tejano music.
Yeah.
Is like it's a form of like old Mexican style music that I've learned about since moving here.
Yeah.
That's like related to mariachi, but
it's a little
different.
more like it's a little more like country.
Right. Exactly.
Like American country.
Yeah.
So Texas is unique that it has its own like country music charts.
Right.
And I don't know that any other state has that.
Right.
You know, there's like the main charts that come out of Nashville or LA.
Right.
And then Texas has its own thing.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big market. I mean,
yeah.
I think those dudes that, you know, basically they have like 20 people that are always in the charts here in Texas, and they're probably making pretty good money off of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of it is not that great, in my personal opinion.
Right.
It's not as shitty as some, or, you know, let me take this back. Nashville music isn't shitty, it's just not for me.
Sure.
The pop country stuff.
Yeah.
You know, who the fuck am I to say that it's not good music when they're making a killing off of it?
It's a weird thing to think about. Music that feels like it's not good or like bullshit or like they're faking or something, but at the same time they're making gazillions of dollars and like millions of people love it.
Yeah.
And then it's this weird thing of like, is it good?
Yeah.
In a way, it's amazing.
Yeah.
In a way, it's the best music of all time.
Or am I the idiot?
Right.
I don't understand. You know, like Florida Georgia Line or whatever. You know, like I can't stand. I change the station no matter what when they come on.
It like annoys me so much.
But I will say they probably made country music bigger than it's ever been because people from all genres were listening to it. Yeah. Except maybe real country people, enthusiasts. You know, like they were bringing in like pop people, hip hop people. Yeah. You know, people from all that like all this other stuff were like, oh, this is pretty good. I like this.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of songwriting, so one thing I've thought about, and I've gotten into arguments with people about this, is I feel like there's different ways of approaching songwriting. And so Florida Georgia Line feels to me like basically a pop group. Mm-hmm. Like the structure of their song is the same as like Taylor Swift or something like that. A boy band, anything you hear on like top 40 pop charts, just like with a twang in their voice and maybe some like steel guitars and something like that. Yeah. So like it has a facade of country, but the structure is basically a pop song. Yeah. And like I got into an argument about the Old Town Road with Lil Nas X and that, because to me that has the structure of a hip hop song, and I'm not putting the song down at all. But the structure is it's like a hook and some rap and a hook and some rap. It's not structured like a country song at all. Yeah. It just has like a facade. It has a sound that's a little bit like a country song.
Well, what's new about it is now that is becoming the structure of country.
It's just like hip hop songs.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
The last time I was in Nashville a couple years ago, the thing about the Nashville stuff is the structure is becoming hip hop. Right. With country music. Well, you know, maybe some country lyrics. Yeah. Some blue jean, back road country roads, full moon, beer can thing.
Yeah, right.
That's not that much different from the words in Texas. The structure here is still country
old
music
songwriting
based.
Structure, yeah.
But I think, you know, they're basically kind of saying the same shit that the Nashville guys are saying. Now there is some good stuff that I hear in the Texas country music scene, but to me there's not a huge difference in what they're putting on radio here and what they're putting on radio there, other than there's not as much pop like beats and whatever they do to it.
I mean, the big thing that I associate with country songwriting, especially older country songwriting, is traditional form. Like instead of verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, like a verse, bridge, verse form or something like that. Yeah. Which I feel like doesn't exist on any top 40 that I hear at all now.
Right. Yeah, they're all pretty. It's kind of like they've dumbed music down as much as possible, so that you can sing along or whatever. Yeah. But there's also something very forgettable about those songs. You know, like some of the biggest hits of the last few years, I couldn't even tell you what they are. Number one, I don't listen to it, but
Right.
they all start to sound the same.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, their voices even kind of sound the same.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's not as memorable. I mean, the argument is that it's always been like this. You know, there's always the old school.
Yeah.
It's kind of getting pushed out by the new guys.
Yeah.
You know, like,
That's true, I think.
you know, Willie Whalen, George Jones, and
Yeah.
like all those guys kind of got pushed out by like George Strait, Garth Brooks,
Right.
you know, and people hated them at
Yeah.
first. Then those guys got pushed out by the next round, you know, so
Yeah.
it's, you know, there's an argument that it's always been this way and it's always going to be this way
Right.
and it's evolving, but, you know, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know that there's a good answer to it.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, I think there's different types of evolution though, because there's evolution that happens as a natural progression of a different generation that has different experiences and different technologies, things
Yeah.
like that. And then there's sort of top-down corporate evolution, which
Yeah.
is not really evolution. It's sort of like intentional monkeying with a system.
Yeah, some,
Like it's not like boy bands like the Backstreet Boys. That was like some craze that was happening in the 90s.
Yeah.
That was like some record companies that were like, I have an idea how we're gonna make another $1 billion. Let's
back
find,
when they were still
let's
selling
find
records.
5 guys that
Yeah.
look kind of like cute and
We'll spike their hairs up.
right,
there.
and then we'll have and they'll have like vaguely each have a different personality, like the bad boy and the pretty boy.
What a time. What
Oh
a
my
time to
God.
be alive.
Right. That doesn't feel like that's like the old pushing out the new. That just feels like that was some executive's idea.
Yeah, that was the future at the time.
One day it'll all be 5 guys
Yeah,
on stage
it's always
with
been-
headset
yeah.
mics doing funny dances.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's always like groundbreaking stuff that's new.
Right.
And then there's just this kind of like revolving door of the same thing that's got a new twist.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, one thing I was going to say earlier is that these guys I know in Nashville that are songwriters, they have noticed over the last like 10 years of this huge influx of producers from LA coming to Nashville.
Right. Right.
And they're producing most of the stuff that's
Yeah.
on the radio. So they, you know, like I said, they're bringing a pop structure
Yeah.
to country music.
Right.
And then they're just like overlaying some country lyrics,
Yeah. Right.
basically is what it is.
Yeah.
Texas hadn't done that necessarily, but they're still singing like the you know, the classic like drinking beer on Friday night, tailgate.
They got to
stuff.
pick another night.
Yeah, I mean, let's go with Tuesday night. Why not?
That's a good night for musicians to
Let's
drink.
party on Tuesday. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the service industry is going wild on
Yeah,
Monday and
exactly.
Tuesday.
Exactly.
So anyway, I mean, there's always going to be music that is generic, and you know, most musicians would say that's shitty music, but they have a huge fan base regardless of what we think.
Yeah. I don't know. So what about you? What would you say your process is as a songwriter?
Like actually writing a song? Typically I come up with something on guitar first.
So it
And-
starts with guitar.
Yeah.
Instrument led.
Usually starts with it, you know, some kind of instrument thing, and sometimes I'll have an idea already of something that I want to talk about, or
Right.
whatever this chord progression or whatever I come up with will, you know, give me a feeling of something.
Mm-hmm.
Like the song, the Shadow of the Mountain song, I sort of had an idea of something, you know, dark and mysterious, like a story, dark and mysterious. And I think that kind of pushed me to pick the chord progression that I picked, and then they just sort of played off of each other.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like I write a lot more like storyteller type songs than anything else.
Right.
So then I start building a song, like I write a verse. I'm like, okay, now what's going to happen to this character in the next
Right. Okay.
verse?
Cool.
You know, like what would be an interesting twist or,
Yeah.
you know, addition that's kind of clever or something to the story. So that's more or less how I write, because that's kind of more or less the stuff I like to listen to.
Right.
And so,
The character-oriented writing thing is interesting. I associate that a lot with Paul McCartney too.
yeah,
Like kind of coming up with a character and then writing the song.
it's kind of like
about
writing a play. Like
Right.
in my head, I'm basically filming a movie in my head about what this story is.
That's cool.
you
That's
know?
great. Is it personal usually?
It
Sort of
can
made
be,
up?
but like that song had zero to do with anything. It was just a fictional story.
Right.
And I mean, I do write personal stuff a lot, you know, or something that's I've experienced or know somebody that did something that's closer to me. But it's fun to just make shit up. You know, I have a pretty vivid imagination, so I can come up with random shit.
Right.
And the trick is just putting it into you know, lyric form.
Right. Right.
Making it rhyme and be interesting.
Right. But that's kind of like the in the weeds part of it. I feel like always the dealing with how do I deal with this lyric and how do I make this kind of part rhyme. I feel like the overall idea of what you're doing with songs is interesting to me, because like Kurt Cobain talk about how his lyrics didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
And like he would just try and find words that rhymed. And like his songs aren't about anything.
He didn't even know what they're about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just learned this. What was it? It was like I think it was Rick Rubin on Joe Rogan podcast.
I just listened to that.
Oh, where he was talking about System of a Down.
I didn't hear the whole thing yet.
Oh, so you know the song Chop Suey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
wait, no, I did hear this part.
The father.
When he flipped to a page and like the first line. Yeah.
But it seriously is like the most poignant moment of the whole song. That's like where you're like, damn, this song's really hitting me.
What a deep, meaningful lyric that he just pulled out of a random book.
Yeah. But music is weird like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a way to be evocative without, so you can tell a story which could be super evocative, like Penny Lane or something, like a Paul McCartney song where he's like creating this whole world that you could see, or like a Kurt Cobain song that's like not about anything, and the whole chorus is just but it's a fucking awesome song and it's amazing,
and you feel like it's about something important,
right?
You know, but it's up to you to make it important.
Right.
And so I think there's power behind a very ambiguous song that nobody really knows what the fuck it's about.
Right.
And you make it your own personal thing.
Right.
And it makes you think about it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a song that's pretty clear what you're talking about, you know, you either relate or you don't.
Yeah.
But if you have a song that's like that, where it can be open-ended, then they all relate to you.
Right. Right.
You can make it whatever you want.
Well, I have this problem with a lot of punk songs. Is like they're very specific about what they're mad about or something like that. And it's like I love a lot of punk music. I love the Dead Kennedys and stuff like that. But it's also it is very particular,
right?
Which makes it sort of funny. Because to me, music being that pedestrian is comical. Like if you wrote a song about like going to the store and like milk is a little bit more expensive today or something like something that really like is very pedestrian is hilarious, or like a weather report in music.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's so endless the ways that a song could come into existence,
right?
And sometimes, you know, like when I look back at writing a song, I'm like, I don't know where that came from. But in the moment of writing it, it's pretty clear where it's coming from. I'm really thinking hard. You digesting different ideas and trying to pick the best one. Yeah. It's not till later on that I'm like, man, that song just came out of nowhere. Yeah. And sometimes they do. I mean, sometimes I'll sit down and write a whole song in like 15 minutes. I'm like, whoa, that was crazy.
Do you find those are usually the best ones?
They're usually the ones I play the most, yeah. Yeah,
same for me.
Easier to remember for some reason, and people tend to like them. Yeah. But you know, and I think the ones that you sit down and you spend a lot of time on, or at least for me, they're starting to get to where they're, you know, I'm getting better at writing them in a way that's more interesting to me to play all the time. Yeah. Whereas some of those songs where I would put a lot of effort into would end up being just too complicated, or something about it that was not as much fun to play. Yep. Or it's hard for, like, if a listener isn't paying attention the whole time, they're not going to have a clue what is going on. It's just words. Right. So, anyway, I mean, there's strategy in writing a song when it comes to that kind of, when you're considering the listener. Yes. If you're not considering the listener, then you just do whatever the fuck you want.
Wait, do you consider the listener while you're writing?
I don't know if I do or not. I think I consider in some I'd say sometimes I do. Like,
interesting.
if I think that I'm writing something that's going to be just so, it's not going to make any sense to
Right.
somebody, and I could word it in a way that would make more sense,
Sure.
I think I'll do that. You know, or maybe the way that I sing something that's going to give the song a little more diversity or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think about that because I don't want it to be boring to the listener.
Right.
But I wouldn't say that I would, like, you know, restructure a whole song just because I don't think people are going to like the
Right.
way it sounds or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance because you know, you want people to like it.
Right.
You know, as a performer,
Yeah.
you know, you want people to like it,
Yeah.
but you also don't want to write it for them. You want it,
Right.
It's your thing.
Well, because they're not going to like it. If you spend all your time chasing an audience,
Yeah.
that's not fun.
No,
They want to know what you have to present.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically just pandering to the crowd. If
Yeah,
you do
that sucks.
That's the word I think they like to use, pandering.
Pandering.
Which is what all country, you know, like pop country music basically
Pandering.
is.
Yeah. Do you ever hear that Bo Burnham song?
That's
Pandering?
where I learned that word. Yeah,
Pandering.
that's where I learned that word.
Yeah. It also makes me think of hunting pandas with a southern accent. Going pandering.
Yeah, we went pandering last week. Man. That is a good. Yeah, we went deering instead of hunting.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. We went.
Because you go fishing.
Yeah, right. You go fishing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if you're going to take pictures of birds, you go birding.
Do you? I didn't know that one.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Birding.
Yeah. Cool. Well, do you want to play something?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since we've talked a lot about it, I'll play this new single of mine.
Nice.
Shadow of the Mountain.
Cool. I might just move your mic back a little.
In the shadow of a mountain lives the shadow of a man, where he hides from the trouble he created with his troubled hand. There in the darkness where the sun don't ever shine, he wallows in his sorrows neath the aspens and the pine. He hopes it'll all soon be over. His blood runs cold with shame, but death ain't never gonna find him, for after all, he's just the shadow of a man. The crows, they're all talking above him in the trees. Is he God? Is he the devil? Seems they can't agree. The bears keep their distance from the shadows where he stays. There's a darkness that haunts them. They think it best to keep away. He hopes it'll all soon be over. His blood runs cold with shame, but death ain't never gonna find him, for after all, he's just the shadow of a man. Many years have passed since he last seen his face. Would he even recognize the image in his gaze? Winter's closing in, His skin turns hard as stone. The outside reflects the inside, the emptiness of his soul. He hopes it'll all soon be over. His blood runs cold with shame, but death ain't never gonna find him. For after all, he's just the shadow, and he'll hang from the gallows, for he's only the shadow of a man.
Nice. That was beautiful.
Thank you, man.
Dude,
yeah, I really like how it came out.
I love the E major in there.
Yeah.
And the G to E, like your skirt, you never really hit the 5.
Yeah.
1, 6, and the E major. There's like the Dorian thing. I love it. It's so expressive.
It's and it's pretty simple, just 3 chords.
Yeah.
And and it's just got that dark, that
that B
what's
minor.
that, B minor. It's
classic.
just got kind of like a mysterious sound to it for some reason.
Dude, B minor is like, it's this classic key for that mysterious sound. There's do you know the Aranjuez concerto, the guitar concerto?
I don't know.
In B minor, it's just like it. I don't know. B minor on the guitar has such a like perfect lonesome sound.
Yeah, I like the minor. I like the A minor too. I use that one a lot.
Yeah.
Like A minor and C together, or F. I don't know. I like the minors.
Yeah.
I use those a lot.
But then, but 2/3 is major in that last one. 2/3 of your chords. I mean, that's like that switch between the major, especially with the E major, because it makes it really stark.
Yeah, and it's like you stick with that deep sound when you use those chords that are so far up the neck. Like I don't know. Anyway,
So did that come from the chord progression?
what?
That song?
No, I mean it was both. Like I knew that I wanted a song that was going to be. So we were stuck in our place. First of all, we've been here for months. It hadn't rained here in forever.
Yeah.
So we go to Colorado. The first week we're there, it rains for like 3 days straight.
Oh my gosh.
And at first we're like, this is amazing. I've been missing this.
Yeah.
By the 3rd day, I'm like, all right,
Enough.
it's time for this shit to pass. So I'm just sitting in there looking out the window, and I can see like a mountain, and like clouds would pass, and it would get real dark and like kind of cloudy looking on one side of the mountain. Like you could tell that side didn't get as much sun, and just that feeling of being dark and rainy, and you're like in the mountains, which is already kind of mysterious and scary to begin with. It's kind of like the ocean is kind of like that.
Yeah, they're like, they're intimidating.
Like the opposites of each other, but equally frightening.
Something in you that's like, whoa.
They're just so vast and empty, like anything could be over there.
Yeah.
So I started getting this idea of, like some hermit to just, and we've been going hiking and going to see these places that were like old mining camps.
Yeah.
We're like, I can't imagine living up here in the wintertime or something like that.
Yeah.
And so all that kind of led to this idea of writing about a person that something happened to. We don't know what, but he ended up being a recluse out on the side of the mountain that never gets sunlight. Like he doesn't, it was almost like a self-punishment type thing is what I had in my mind about it. Like he was just trying to remove himself and his, like he was causing trouble for everybody else, and he wanted to take himself out of the equation. Kind of thing. Yeah. But turns out he's so dark that even nature is concerned about him. The crows don't know what to think. The bears stay away.
That's great.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
So you're inventing a whole world.
Yeah, like as I'm telling you right now, I'm picturing like where he is and what he looks like and what's going on.
Did you ever watch Futurama?
The cartoon thing?
Yeah.
I think I did a couple times.
Okay, they have an instrument there that when you play it, it like creates a world.
Really?
It's kind of what it makes me think of, like story building in songs.
Yeah.
Because especially a song like this, it's not like a paragraph. It's not like reading a book where you're getting every detail. It's more like glimpses, like an abstract painting.
You kind of fill it in the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I try to make lyrics that describe the image that I'm seeing in my mind, and clear enough that somebody else can create that image, but vague enough that they can design it in their own way.
Sure.
It's like it's kind of like the Truman Show or something. Right. Like you're creating your own whatever's happening in the dome.
Right.
I'm just giving you some structure.
Right.
Kind of thing, something like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Thanks, man.
That's
I appreciate
very nice.
it. I like that one too. I don't know what, I mean, we recorded it and it was such a good recording. I was like, I might as well release this. Why wouldn't I? So anyway, it's out there too. Hopefully it'll knock some of those drug songs down the list.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if you want to play one, it'd be good to hear one.
A drug song?
Yeah, we've been talking about it.
That's true. Well, I might as well do Damn Cocaine, should I?
There we go. Do the hits.
Let me get some agua. So the story behind this one, I gotta tell the story now. The reason I wrote this one, I can't remember how I started writing this, or if I already had the idea, or it was a chord progression inspiration. I can't remember, but I just know all these people, and people you probably know too, especially around here, that using cocaine recreationally for fun is all good and whatever. I'm not pretending like I'm an innocent bystander, but when you start using it to function and go anywhere or play any show, it starts to affect everything.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of witnessing that happening all the time, and like, damn, if they just could just do it without that, they'd be so fucking good. Like, they have so much to give.
Yeah.
And so I try to put myself like in their position, but as a retrospective.
Interesting.
Like I'm them looking at myself in the mirror, kind of thing.
Okay.
Something like that. So anyway, it's called Damn Cocaine. When I'm alone all by myself, soaked in a feeling that I thought I'd left, comes to me, tortures my mind, searching for that familiar high. Damn cocaine, damn cocaine, my life will never be the same. When I go out on the town, start to feel like I'm a coming down. That's my sign for me to find a place where I can do another line. Damn cocaine, damn cocaine, my life will never be the same. start to feel like I'm a coming down. Wait, I just did that line, didn't I?
Yeah.
Let's start over with the third verse. The night is through, but not for me. I go home in agony. I resist, but I'll soon fail. I'm possessed by that cocaine smell. Damn cocaine. Damn cocaine. My life will never be the same. Damn cocaine. Damn cocaine. My life will never be the same. Never be the same. Never be the same.
Really nice.
Some more minors in there, wasn't it?
It's great.
I really don't
Minor,
know
major.
when you put the capo
D
on there.
minor and C major.
Yeah,
That's
see, I
it.
like some minors.
Yeah, but that D minor C, that's just balance right there.
Yeah.
D minor C major.
Two chords, the whole
I also
thing,
get like a real modal sense from your music because the last one was like B Dorian, and that one is just back and so there's no dominant function. There's no real 5 chord. It's just back and forth between the 1 and the flat 7. It's cool.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Sorry.
See, what I know nothing about theory, and I
Okay.
wish I did because it would sure be easier to communicate when I'm playing with a band.
Sure, that makes sense. But you seem to write good songs without it, so
Well,
you
I
don't
think
need it.
you know, like I had this friend when I first started playing guitar, and he had gone through like classical music school,
Right,
and he was
right.
like, he knew everything
Yeah.
about music there was to know. And he was like, man, I used to write a lot, and then I learned all this stuff. And he was like, now I try to write, and all I can think about is structure and
Yeah.
what, you know, like if you use this chord in this key, then this is going to have to be,
Yeah.
you know, like I know what my options are. And he's like, and I watch you don't know shit about what you're doing, and that leaves you all the freedom in the world
Yes, absolutely.
to do, just
Yep.
create.
Mm-hmm.
So there's part of me that's like, if I knew that stuff, I could communicate easier with my band, and it could help me in,
Yeah.
you know, writing in certain
Sure.
aspects where I'm lost. I can't figure out what the next chord's going to be. But then also, like, when he told me that kind of thing, I'm like, well, maybe it also gives me some freedom of not knowing the rules
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
and being able to just do whatever comes, whatever
But
I
the
hear.
rules thing is silly because rules come after the music anyway. Rules are
Right.
just to describe why somebody
Yeah,
coming up with
that's true.
why did that work? Well, I'll come up with a reason why it worked.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. The music came first.
Right.
When the chicken, with the chicken and the egg.
Right.
Which one?
I
yeah.
mean, seriously though, like Beethoven was doing crazy stuff, and then like 60 years later, somebody was writing about why it worked.
Right.
It's not like Beethoven was thinking about that stuff. He was just thinking about what worked in his mind.
Yeah. Dude, I think that you know, like classical music is like the ultimate achievement of being a musician.
Really?
To me, I think it is because
Yeah.
like those dudes are writing parts for like 100
yeah,
instruments, and they're all doing something different.
Well, yeah.
You know, or in some
40.
kind of way they're backing each other up.
Yeah.
You know, like if to somebody that doesn't know what's going on and I'm listening to it, I'm like, holy shit, there's so much stuff happening.
It's true.
And one guy wrote all that, and he probably doesn't even play those instruments.
Yeah.
You know, like he just, you know, I can't write a music part without playing that instrument. You know, which I have trouble with
Sure.
that when I'm with my band, and they're like, what do you want me to do here? And I'm like, I don't know, give me a couple examples, and then I'll tell you which one sounds better.
Nice.
You know, I don't know how to tell you what to do.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and then when I think about those guys writing an entire symphony or
Right.
something, and I'm like, this has got to be, and they're so long too. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, an hour or longer or something sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Just like it blows me away.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's like the ultimate achievement of having a musical mind.
Sure. Oh, like a classical composer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
composer.
it's a lot. It's a lot to think about, but I feel like there's also some basic orchestration rules.
Yeah.
It's the same as like you have a chord progression, and then there's like a way to arrange a chord progression. Because if everybody's only playing one note at a time, then you can start to stack those on top of each other.
Yeah. Yeah, just when I listen to those, a lot of times they don't repeat the same thing twice. They kind of they'll go through like a segment and then it goes to the next thing. You're like, that could be a whole other song.
Yeah.
Or that, the Beatles kind of did that, I thought. Like,
yeah,
there's some songs where you're like, I bet you this was like the beginning of another song and they didn't know what to do with it, and they just
absolutely. Well, I feel like Happiness is a Warm Gun is like 4 songs or something.
Yeah, I'm like, they could have split all these up and been all different huge hits, but that's what makes them so awesome.
Yeah.
So, my opinion of like symphony orchestra or something is like, this is the most creative mind in music.
Yeah. It's also stuck though, is the problem.
Yeah.
Because once you've written it out, that's what it has to be. There isn't a whole lot of room.
There's no improvisation.
Like it's hard to be like, bassoon, take a solo.
Yeah.
Solo over the changes. Like
that's
what?
true. That's true. Yeah, it's very structured.
Yeah.
Even if the structure sounds complicated,
right?
It's still a structure that. But what's cool is that we're still playing it. However many 100 years later.
Yeah, that's true.
And it hasn't really changed. It's the same thing, which is really weird. And nobody's making any money off of that. You can just do whatever you want with it.
That's true. Yeah, it's all public domain.
I really didn't listen to classical music till probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I don't know why I just started listening to it. I know why. I was farming, and I just got tired of listening to the radio. I got tired of listening to Spotify and podcasts, and then just randomly I got on a station that was classical.
Nice.
I was like, holy shit.
It's so nice sometimes.
I'm actually paying attention, and it was like I was getting chill bumps listening to some of it.
Amazing.
And I was like, holy shit. So I was spending like days listening to it. And I started realizing that I knew a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I know this?
Yeah.
And I somehow or another it came to me that I knew it from watching like all the old cartoons that were basically no talking on like
these old cartoons had amazing scores too.
Yeah, and they were all the best ones.
Yep.
And so I was like, I've known all this stuff since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize what it was that I was listening to. It's like Tom and Jerry.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Tom and Jerry is that.
Yep.
Or that movie Fantasia.
Yes,
absolutely. It has some of the best ones in it.
Rite of Spring, man.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, and it was like they, so that's kind of, like I'm assuming they created Fantasia. Like I would think that they listened to those pieces and then created the scenery that was happening.
I think so. Well, that was in the 30s too, right?
Yeah, it's old, I think.
Yeah.
30s, 40s, something like that. And so that's kind of like how I write music too, but it's maybe the opposite.
Right.
Or happening at the same time.
Yeah.
They're both coming together at the same time. But yeah, I have a huge respect for classical music that I didn't used to have.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
I wish more people would listen to it. I think there's something to get out of it.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you have to have singing, and the ones that do have singing are even more impressive.
Yeah.
When you throw vocals in on top of it.
Crazy vocal parts, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff they could do with their voices is...
It's true, but there's also stuff they can't do with their voices. This is the thing, it's like classical musicians are just as limited as like blues guitar players. Right. It's just a different vocabulary.
Yeah, speaking of limited, when I first started playing, I had this guy that was going to help me, and he had a good career in country music, and I was like trying to show him songs that I'd written.
Yeah.
And I had one that was country and one that was kind of more bluesy.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, which one do you want to be? And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you can't be both. You got to pick one or the other and stick to it.
Uh-huh.
And find your comfort zone and just do that.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Why are you telling me that? I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
And I know he wasn't right.
Yeah.
That was not right at all.
I feel like there might be you could be too far apart. Like I think it'd be hard to do classical concertos alongside the blues.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing at Friends and you're like, I'm gonna play Pride and Joy, and now I'm gonna play a guitar concerto in E minor. Like that would be pretty weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna have that problem because I cannot play anything that good on guitar. But I wish that I could on piano. I've been trying to teach myself piano, but
I think piano kind of requires theory.
It seems like
I don't think there's a good way to know piano without knowing at least a chunk of theory.
I've been trying to teach myself the way that I learned guitar, which was
like shapes and stuff.
I just learned shapes of chords and then put them together. Yeah. And I've been trying to do that on piano, and you can do it, but it doesn't sound that great. It does, and I can really only do it with one hand.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I was watching somebody play piano, and I was like, oh well, they're using two hands, so am I. I should be able to think with two different hands. But with guitar, they work together.
Yeah, and they're doing different jobs.
Yeah, and on piano, they're not working together.
Yep.
To me at all.
They're doing the same job, but they're not separately.
Sometimes different tempos or different rhythm, and that's like a whole new training of the brain.
Oh yeah.
Which is interesting to think that the brain is, elastic enough to do that kind of thing.
I mean, I think the key is it's kind of like singing and playing guitar is like you have to find where the guitar and your voice fit together. And when you're doing it right, when it doesn't actually feel like you're doing two different things, you're just doing two versions of the same thing, kind of a thing. It's all part of the same.
Yeah. I remember the first time I played a song on guitar and sang it at the same time. Yeah. I was like, holy shit, I'm doing it. It was like the biggest breakthrough ever. Yeah. Because it's more than just
hard at first.
It's like making chords is a whole thing by itself. Yep. And changing chords. Oh my God. Strumming was another thing. I'd just get stuck doing the exact same strumming pattern. Yep. And breaking out of that was a big thing. Yep. Then doing those two things together, and then you throw vocals on top of that. I was like, this is wild. I can't believe I can do this.
Doing so many things at once.
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't learn to do it till I was 20. So I was like, I can't believe I've been missing out on this for so long.
Yeah. Which is sing and play together, you mean?
I never played guitar at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right before I was 20, I started teaching myself to play guitar. Mm-hmm. And then singing, and then I started writing kind of right after that.
Cool.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, I've known all these dudes that have been playing music like since they were little kids. Yeah. And it's weird that it seems like a lot of those people don't play music anymore.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
I don't know what it is. Like, maybe it was for the best that I didn't start till I was later in life. Yeah. But a lot of the people that I knew that were playing music while we were growing up, and I wasn't at all. Yeah. They don't even touch guitars anymore.
It happens all the time.
They sold all their shit. Yep, a lot of them. Yep. Like, they don't even play at all. Yeah. Which is hard for me to wrap my head around just not really doing it.
I mean, I can't wrap my head around not playing all the time. Yeah. That's the thing is, like, I have this problem where I don't even want music to be a hobby. Like, that's the worst idea possible for me. Yeah. It's like having a job and doing music, like, part-time, like just going to jams. It's like, I hate it. It like, drives me insane.
Dude. Like, I've tried to have a job that was flexible. Yeah. And the music always ends up on the back burner somehow or another. Yeah. For me.
It, like, takes all your energy, your creativity. You don't want to do music when you're off work.
You don't want to do it because it takes effort. Yeah. And if you've already been at work putting in effort, you don't want to put in more effort. Yeah, you have to force yourself to do it, and you don't want to feel that way when you're playing music. No. So, it's I have a lot of respect for people that are out there doing both. Yeah. And it's somehow doing it. Yep. Because it's not easy.
Yep. Yeah. So, you got a tour coming up? Yep. Anything else? Where are you going? You're going Baton Rouge?
After that, I'm sticking around Mississippi, but I'm doing like a weekend warrior thing, and I'll be doing some more shows in Baton Rouge in December, and I'm doing a whole week in Nashville, and then I got some shows in Mississippi booked, so I probably won't be back till January.
Oh, wow.
To Texas.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is that all available somewhere? Can people find it?
Oh, yeah. It's on I probably actually hadn't put it on my website yet, but I'm going to. ZachDayMusic.net.
.net.
ZACHDAY.
Nice.
Music.net. Yeah.
Cool.
So it'll be there eventually.
Right. Cool. Well, everybody should go check that out. And your single, both the songs you played today are available on Spotify and Amazon Music and everywhere, right?
All the digital shit.
All the stuff. And he's got Instagram.
Yeah, Zach Day Official.
Yes.
That's it.
Cool. All right. Well,
thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on. Everybody, go check out his stuff. go to a concert. It's awesome. I love listening to Zach play. So
thanks, man. It's been fun knowing you.
Yeah. You too.
I'm glad that we got to know each other before the open mic ended.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, sad. Yeah. All right. That's a sad way to end it. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening or watching. That was Zach Day. Be sure to check him out on all the social media. Listen to his singles that are out now. Listen to his albums. Listen to all of his music. Check out his Instagram. Go to a show. He's touring the South coming up this next month, so catch him at a show. And be sure to also leave a comment, and subscribe to my channels. And I will see you all next time. Bye.